Hello. We get to start. Okay, so hi everyone. My name is Alexandria. So first off, let me know if you can't hear me or anything. I am in the car on my way home, so eventually I'll be in a somewhat quieter spot. But if you have any questions, please let me know. But like I said, my name is Alexandria. I'm currently an ambassador. Girl Scout that will be transitioning into adult level in the fall. I'm from Dayton, Ohio, and I just graduated high school this past week, actually. I'm 18. So yeah. So today we're talking about the kind of like second part of what our
You're muted.
Thank you. So like I said, we're gonna. Oh, no. Okay. So like I said, we're going to kind of look ahead at like what your scouting is going to look like as an ambassador. And honestly, in my opinion, and it could even be from the fact of the pandemic, but I didn't really see much of a difference between being a senior and an ambassador. The difference is obviously things that we earned and whatnot, at least for me and my experience. There's a lot of focus on like your gold award and a lot of like leadership stuff, and especially like getting prepared for college. There is some of that like with like type of awards you can earn and whatnot, but like I said, there's really not much of a difference. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about was like what are you actually kind of like doing with this, like looking ahead. So obviously you have two requirements, and that is to pass it on to somebody, kind of like what I'm doing right now, and that's explaining like what that level is going to look like. And then I know that there's some girls here who've already done that. And then also, like I've said multiple times already, looking ahead, which you guys will then meet that second requirement to earn your bridge patch. So the next thing we can talk about is our gold award. So I recently just received my gold award. From a lot of the people that I know, at least in my area, with our council, it's a lot more common for at least older girls in high school to like receive it. Like you'll start like year later, like earlier on freshman sophomore year, but you're not going to earn it to your ambassador level, obviously, especially with how long it took. So for my gold award, I use social media and YouTube to talk about Holocaust education. So for me, the Holocaust is kind of like my passion. I eventually want to work as a historian at the Holocaust Museum in DC. So I use things like TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and a Facebook group to kind of talk about different things, because there's a lot of kids our age who don't really know about this, or and a deeper understanding as well as I do. I've been studying this, learning about it since I was in fourth grade, since I started Girl Scouts. Um, and so I really wanted to focus on this and like kind of hit hard on like how important it is. Um, and the other thing I did with my project was a book club sort of type thing. Was I had three separate groups by age level. They read different types of books according to their age group. And then we kind of had like a book club discussing it. We talked a lot about the Holocaust itself, and then also like the book and kind of going into those details, because all three of them, two of them were based on true stories. So kind of going into that too as well. Um, so yeah, if you guys have any questions, again, please feel free to ask. Yeah. So the next thing is kind of going into more like badges. Like I said before, badges aren't really gonna be, at least for me, they didn't really seem any different. There's a lot of like college level badges. One of the badges they earned, or well, pins, it's not a badge, was my CIT training one this past summer. Which you have to be in high school to do anyways, so that kind of just depends. Um, and I know that there's a college level badge, and I would say my favorite one out of all of them is actually the Thinking Day one, which I mean, it doesn't really pertain specifically to ambassadors. It's just more of the fact that that's something that's very big with my service unit, um, and we do a lot with it. So it's really cool to like get the different one each year because I have so many. But yeah, so is there any questions so far? Yes. If you have. So the next thing I want to talk about with being an ambassador is kind of like I feel like the leadership skills. Um, so for me, I was kind of able to do that a lot with my gold award, having to lead, all those different activities and whatnot. Um, it progressed. Um, when like added that's very something focused on, especially as you get older, like that older level. Um, so the next thing is travel. So obviously by now, I presume you've all traveled at some point with Scouts. And our CSA is very interconnected and what. So with me on the past 3 years, I've gone to Mammoth Caves National Park, to Cuyahoga Valley National Park. There's a lot of smaller camp areas around Ohio. Um, so we've gone to a lot of those. And then one thing I've done, which I wasn't in high school, I was actually in high school on a national jamboree. I think it's called something else. No, I'm not entirely sure. So if somebody knows that, if you want to put that in the comments, that'd be great. So I can tell you guys the correct things. I know that they changed it and changed things since the last time I've gone. I think that's it. Yeah, there's a lot of smaller trips, more kind of local to my area, so it's kind of hard. But yeah, I've gone to several national parks to scouts. The group itself has been able to go to like the Smokies. We've gone to Hershey, Pennsylvania, to the park. We've talked about going to like Savannah before and whatnot. So yeah, all over the place, and I'm very fortunate for it because it's an amazing time, and I love getting to spend time with all of them because I've made so many friends from these trips. Um, so my favorite moment are like experiences. So I'm a part of Girl Scouts of Western Ohio, which is a very large council. And the sixth, I don't know, so just we're a huge council, whatever. So like um with it, um getting to meet people from all over this literal like half of the state. Also council. So like I mentioned before with leadership, one of the things I've my junior year, going to my senior year, just very by council, and I'm not sure if they'll do it, is talking about board of directors. So I know my council has it, is like I said, it's called a board of directors, and they have 2 to 3 like Girl Scouts who are ambassador level scouts, and they basically kind of not like make decisions, but kind of like they're the voice for Girl Scouts for our council. Getting to like be through that process was really cool, and like seeing all the leadership and like kind of expectations for me in that position, um, because it is a very like you like learn lots of like stuff while or like can't you know necessarily expectations of you, and that's really kind of something I wanted to
You're
do.
kind of breaking up a little bit.
Okay. Let me see. Am I good now? Or is it still kind of weird?
Oh, no, it's better now.
Okay, thank you. But yeah, like I was saying, obviously it's going to depend based on councils and how they do this, level wise and whatnot. They could even like have more inclusivity, which is kind of something I wish my council did, because we only have like 2 or 3 girls and they're ambassadors. That's it. And I feel like that's not really kind of talking to, the entirety of all Girl Scouts, because there's kindergartners to 12th graders. One of the other big things that I wanted to talk about was, for me, this isn't necessarily for you guys because you're going into ambassadors, high schoolers, is kind of like adult scouting. So this is kind of something for you to start looking into now as you're getting into like your junior and even senior, I don't know, junior year high school, is starting to look at like the opportunities you're going to get going into college and scouts. For me, I'm very fortunate. I don't really have much of a struggle. Luckily my younger sister is in scouts, so I'm going to be doing a lot of stuff with her troop, and whatnot, and different stuff with my service unit. But like there's been lots of other people I know who are in the kind of same situation, wanting to do more as an adult scout and not necessarily being a leader, but just, wanting to like have that experience and do things and not necessarily work for council. Um, I know one, she worked for, because we live right by, there's a lot of military personnel by where I live. She did lots of stuff with like military and connecting that with Girl Scouts and whatnot. So it kind of just depends, but there's a lot of volunteer stuff kind of involved, obviously. But I'm luckily fortunate that I won't really have to worry about what I am doing because I have my sister's troop already. They're brownies, and then also doing stuff in the service unit that I've already been doing. And it's kind of cool because I don't feel like we get to see older scouts a whole lot do stuff like that, like as an adult. So it's kind of interesting. So yeah, please, again, questions. I know there's more people kind of coming in. If you have any questions about things I've said and you haven't heard yet, please, again, I'm more than welcome to like reiterate things and answer questions for you guys about anything that you've heard so far, because I know there's people coming in that really haven't heard a whole lot. But yeah, so
I do have a question.
okay,
Have you done your gold award?
I did. I just
what was it?
finished it. So I just kind of talked about it briefly. I could talk about it like a lot. It was like my baby for 4 years of the entirety of high school. So my gold award was using social media to talk about Holocaust education. Since since fourth grade, I've been very passionate about the topic. It was something my aunt likes to learn about, very passionate about, and so it's kind of something I kind of grasped onto. So I already knew immediately, no matter what I was going to do, it was going to be about the Holocaust. So I started working on my project freshman year, so 2018, 2019, for me. working on my project. And originally I was gonna do kind of like classes in like local libraries and stuff because I was fortunate enough for my school to have a decent like taught like the Holocaust type of like course curriculum, but like I know that's not the case for everybody, even people who like I know and like other school districts around me. So that was something very important to me. Well, then COVID hit and I could not do my actual project my sophomore year of high school. And so I basically had to like start from scratch and it was awful. But I'm very glad I did it because I love the project that I ended up doing. So I use social media. So I have a TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook group. Yeah, that's it. So with the Facebook group, it's basically it's through my personal account, but like it's public so anybody can join. And it's sharing like family stories, so like Holocaust survivors. And they don't necessarily have to be Jewish. And that's also another thing that was very important about my project was discussing the fact that 11 million people died. Only 6 million of the can't talk today. 6 million of them were Jewish. The other 5 million were Romanies or gypsies, homosexuals, disabled, Christians, prisoners of war, people who defied, the Nazis in any way. So that was kind of something I wanted to do. I'll get to your question in 1 minute. I just finished talking about this. And so it was very important for me to talk about that because and this isn't always the issue, but there's 5 million people not necessarily always being talked about. And I was just very adamant that it's something I needed to talk about. And so like with my Facebook group, going back to that, like you can talk about anybody. You can talk about somebody who's Jewish, somebody who was a veteran from the United States who was imprisoned. There was 43,000 camps in Europe. Not everybody in those camps was Jewish. Like the vast majority of how big this was, like even for me sometimes is mind-boggling. And I've like over the years have gotten to the point where it doesn't really faze me when I watch, read, or do anything with this. But there were 43,000 different types of camps. Like it was insane. And so that's something, big part of my project too was talking about the fact that we're 5,000 plus that we know of who weren't Jewish. And obviously the 6,000 people who were Jewish, very important to talk about. And it's something that's very important to me. So then like with Instagram and TikTok, they kind of correlate with each other. I posted a lot of videos and whatnot, and I will going forward because they're mine. So over the summer and throughout the years and whatnot. Like if something like happened in the media and whatnot, like giving my opinion on that or explaining questions to people. And that was kind of how that went. And then my YouTube was literally kind of like that class type of feel I wanted. I would like go through everything like I possibly could. So like I went into detail about everything and there like videos about all of it. And then I will put my user for the socials. They're all called Reading for the Stars. I know that, I didn't type. So, with it, I know the TikTok, there are underscores. All of them are like that. I can't ever remember. I think it's this. Otherwise, you can put my name in and it should pop up if you're interested. There isn't a whole lot on there right now. I do need to go in and add more stuff for you guys. There hasn't been a lot of like stuff, like a lot of engagement, so I haven't really been too involved with it, but just enough so I could get my project done. But yeah, that should be my username or pretty much that. Otherwise, that's my name and it should pop up. But yeah, so that was something very important. Like, so yeah, with the YouTube, I kind of just went straight very much into detail with all of it and like very, very, very into detail, like with everything, and like a long list, and I again have to continue that. So one of the questions I got was what college I'm going to. So I live in Dayton, Ohio. I'm going to the University of Dayton. I'm going to be dual majoring in history and German studies because I want to work at the Holocaust Museum. I want to get my PhD actually in either history, Judaic, or German studies, a combination of the three, minoring in something, whatever. That's a long time away from now, but that's where I'm starting with my bachelor's degree, is at the University of Dayton, which lucky for me, it's right here. And as for my gold award, helping me to get into college, I mean, I didn't actually have my award finished yet when I applied to college back in the fall. I was over halfway done with it probably, but not like enough. I don't know, not enough significantly, at least for me. It felt like to kind of like do anything with it towards college. But luckily I've done decently at school and whatnot, that it was it was easy for me, and I wasn't really worried about getting into that school. Another question I have was, how am I making my project sustainable? So that was one thing that I was having a very hard time kind of figuring out what I was going to do with, both with trying to come up with a project was a big thing, was how am I going to make it sustainable? So obviously all the social media stuff I'm going to like hang on to and deal with after I've graduated and everything. Like I said, we had that reading. We had the reading book club type thing. And that's kind of why it's called Reading for the Stars, was because I was a bit like literally like half of my project. So we had 3 separate groups. We had 5th and 6th, 7th and 8th, and then high school groups. And then I also had adults in the high school group because there was like parents and stuff. There are a lot of adults there actually. But they each read different books. The first group, the youngest group, read Number of the Stars by Lois Lowry. The middle 7th and 8th read Night by Elie Wiesel. And then the last group, high school, read The Tattooist of Auschwitz by Heather Morris. Yes, that's her last name. She also wrote the book Silka's Journey that correlates with that book. That one is based on a true story for the most part. There is some stuff that isn't necessarily entirely true, but they both pertain to each other. I love those 2 books. I do recommend all of them, obviously. But yeah, so yeah, we talked about each of those books. I do know for like the younger groups, especially, I do a lot of like kind of like basic overview of the Holocaust too, because I didn't know as much, which wasn't really that big of a deal because it's something I like to talk about because it's, and then also getting into the book and whatnot. Another question I have was, how long did my project take in months and how many hours did you put towards it? My project overall in months, this project itself after COVID took so it did take longer than it probably should have, but I got it done. So I basically started everything after like finally figuring out what I was going to do after quarantine and like everything, and finding something I could do where it wasn't necessarily in person if we got, back in quarantine again or anything like that. So I started a lot of this back in September. So it's been September, October, November, December, June, 8-9 months altogether I spent on the majority of this. I think I did some of it over the summer as well, so like maybe a year altogether. Hours, I have 83 on my thing. I probably put way more than that into this project, but that's literally all the ones I can think about. It like I said, became like my baby. I literally like night and day if I wasn't doing schoolwork or going to work or going to dance, because I do lots of stuff besides with scouts or like other extracurriculars. I was working on this and it took up a lot of time. So there's like 83 hours, but I just felt like, especially with what I was doing, it was always a lot of like adding content to YouTube. So like I know I could put it on there. But it felt very repetitive. And so I don't think I put all of it on there. The amount of actually how much I've worked on it and like planning out like what I was actually gonna do and whatnot. Another question I've got is, what is something you learned as an ambassador that you bring with you to college? Something I've learned in the last 2 years of like Girl Scouts was that I don't know how, okay, so like I don't know how to explain this, is that like at least for the people around me, like I am probably like one of the oldest. There's like a decent amount of older girls in like my area and like that I'm friends with, but like I'm like the oldest. I'm one of the few graduating this year that I know of. There aren't very many, so I've been like one of the oldest for the past couple of years. There's a few that I've graduated in the past few years, but something that I've kind of noticed, that something I've learned, is that like I kind of like had to step into that leadership role. Um, for me at least, for me, but like for doing things like going to camp or and leading activities with younger girls and doing things with my troop, because I've always been in a troop with my mom and my aunt being my leaders. So I very much had that kind of expectation in a sense. It wasn't necessarily there of like that leadership type of role. And I took it very well sometimes and wanted to make sure things, went smoothly and, worked out. Um, because that's just kind of the way I am, and I'm kind of a perfectionist at times. But yeah, no, I think the biggest thing that I learned and going to college is that sometimes I'm gonna have to step into those leadership roles, especially with the past few years and how things have been. And there's not as many girls my age, our age, I mean, which is very unfortunate. And I hate it. And I literally talking to friends about it, like who aren't in scouts anymore, and were like, why are you still doing it? Well, I still do scouts because I grew up in a Girl Scout family. My grandma did Girl Scouts, my aunts did Girl Scouts, and my mom did Girl Scouts, and I'm in Girl Scouts. And we're all still very connected to scouts. Like my grandma helps with my troop and our troops and like our service unit and stuff. And like my aunts do. My one of my aunts is my leaders, and the other does stuff with her daughter. So like I'm very much in a Girl Scout family, which I'm very fortunate about. But yeah, that expectation, kind of getting into that role, because I do kind of have that, like they're all the people who do stuff in scouts that I'm related to are in very high leadership positions outside of being a part of a troop leader or whatever, and like a service unit or with council, things like that. So I think it wasn't necessarily expected of me. It's just something I kind of thought I had to do, and I thought I did kind of good at. So yeah. Is there any other questions I would love to answer about going into adult scouting, which I kind of getting there on that. Travel. I feel like there was something else I was going to talk to you guys about besides that. Oh, yes. So, big traveling experience. So I remembered one thing. So I'll answer this question first, and then I actually have something I did with scouts, at least in high school. And I kind of talked about it, but so I think my favorite experience with Girl Scouts was this past winter. We went to Cuyahoga Valley, which is in Cleveland, so it's about 3 hours away from me. Cuyahoga National Park. We spent 4 days there. We went tobogganing, which is like sledding, but on a concrete like sled, concrete like track basically. Very fun. We went snowshoeing. Very involved. Lots of hiking. We went to Akron because it's very close. It's the city of Akron. It's like 30 minutes away. We took a train and that's a part of the national park. We got to walk around and stuff. That was a very long day. And yeah, I was very happy that that was one of my last trips as like a girl, because I enjoyed every minute of it and spending time with my friends and whatnot. So what I was gonna say though was with council, we've had lots of like, not so much because of the COVID like that year, but like since then and even before, I've had lots of like cool opportunities. I brought up like the board of directors like opportunity and getting to apply for that. Got to do was I was fortunate enough to meet Dr. Mae Jemison. She's the um, first Black female to go to outer space. I got to meet her my sophomore year of high school. So that just depends. I think that's more of a high school thing in general. I don't think any of the girls who got to go to that were younger than that. So that was definitely an older girl type of thing. Also that year, because I did a lot that year right before quarantine and everything. We did like job shadow type things at council and like met people who worked like in the city of Dayton. I got to talk to them, which was really interesting, but also kind of difficult for me because I want to work at the Holocaust Museum and there's nobody there who did any of that. But it was very cool getting to talk to all of them. And then there's probably other things I've done with council in the past year, but I first blanking. Another question I have is, did your troop get a special gift when you bridged from senior to ambassador? And if so, what did you get? So I am, like I said, I'm one of the only older girls. I'm the only girl in my troop who's my age. Everyone else is at least a year below me, so they didn't bridge at the same time as me. So every year we do like an awards fair, like we do stuff like this, getting to like do all the bridging stuff and whatnot, and then also we have an award ceremony. So what my mom, because she's my troop leader, would do was she would like have like a thing with all of the patches we earned, like awards, patches and whatnot. And then like each year, I feel like it's different each year, but like I know like last year at least she kind of did it with me and my sister as well, since we were the only two very active in our troop. With my younger sister's troop, she had like little like ornament type things. I think they were Girl Scout related. I can't remember what they looked like. That she had made for all of us type stuff. So it's kind of just depended. I feel like there's been other stuff throughout the years that she's had made for us, but I don't really remember anything special. Another for your Girl Scout graduation cords when you graduated. Unfortunately, I did not, because my school was a pain in the butt about that. And I really wanted to wear my cords for Girl Scouts, but I did not get to. I do have pictures in my Girl Scout stuff for graduation, like graduation pictures and Girl Scout stuff. My Girl Scout like uniform and whatnot, but I did not get to wear cords for like my gold award, because that was a big thing. My project advisor works at my school. She's one of the teachers there, and that was the thing, was she was trying to get me, and I think there's other students who are seniors who would earn like their Eagle Scout awards, getting cords for them so that they could wear that for graduation. So unfortunately, I did not get to. I am definitely probably going to go buy it still to have it, because I earned it around graduation anyway, and I whatnot just to have for decoration. But I did not get to wear it for graduation last week, which made me really sad, but it is okay. Is there any other questions? Is there anything, as I know a lot of people came in kind of late, like anything you guys want me to talk about again, I'm definitely okay with. And for people who came back in late, my favorite experience as an ambassador. I think my favorite experience, ironically, was I submitted my gold award. Because I've been. Can you hear me still? It's saying my internet's unstable.
Yep, we can hear you.
Cool. So my favorite experience was literally the evening I submitted my gold award, because there had been so much stress built up around it and just getting it done because I was graduating. That I literally started crying because I was just done with it and just kind of proud of all the work I had done. That was one of my favorite experiences. Um, I've done a lot of traveling the past couple years, like going to Cuyahoga National Park. And then last summer we went to a camp that's for our service unit, and that like camp out for that entire week was awesome. I like enjoyed that entire time right before senior year. And then I think another favorite experience was I did just kind of like the different times I got to present my gold award, because I did that a lot too as an ambassador. Getting to present and talk to other people like in my area with scouts and just in public, because I'm so proud about it. But yeah. Do you think Girl Scouts has changed your personality? Probably. I'm a very outgoing individual as it is. I don't shut up. I talk very loud. That's a family thing though. Um, I'm a very outgoing individual once I get to know somebody. But with Scouts, I have kind of with Scouts and a multitude of other things, I'm very like, if there's something like I'm like very like adamant, like causes like I stand for whatever, like I won't shut up about it. Like if there's somebody who's gonna be kind of irritating about it or disagree with me in like a nasty way and not be respectful about it, like I might go off on them. Because one thing with scouts is I've kind of learned to like stand up for what I believe in. I definitely, from like fourth grade me to now, the amount of like leadership opportunities I've gotten and the amount of times I've gotten to like speak out about like important things, I can definitely tell that there's a difference from like when I started scouts or even like middle school versus now, because I was much quiet. I mean, I still like outgoing, but not much more reserved, I feel like. Um, Another question, did you do a journey as an ambassador? If so, which one? What did you do for your Take Action project? I did. Oh, I did a journey. I've done a couple journeys actually. I did. Cool. And this is a great thing is I don't ever remember what they're called, which sucks. So one of the more recent ones I remember doing, I think was like an engineer. Correct. Because again, I can never remember what they're called. I have pictures though. And then my Take Action project with it was I have to see which one I did because I think I've done two as an ambassador just to do. So one of the ones, okay, so I think I did the Think Like an Engineer. I do not remember the Take Action project. I think we did it there, like at the event, like we started it, but it's been so long that I do not remember. One of the ones, um, other ones I did was it's your story, tell it. That's so I did a lot of stuff with another troop this year, so that we could do stuff. So basically what we did was we did a lot of we as a troop talked about kind of like us as like individuals and whatnot, and like what's important to us, our values and things like that. And then like our take action project then was to kind of like go and kind of pass that on in a sense. I'm trying to remember again. This has been a while. I don't feel like either of the ones were very like specific, big pass it on ones. I do remember the other journey I recently did was think like a programmer. So we did this as a service unit, and basically what it was we did a huge Discord, and everybody was a part of it, and it was basically kind of teaching girls like especially younger girls like the importance of like social media safety. And so for that we spent like several hours in a giant cafeteria at one of like the local schools and like used computers to like be on this Discord platform. And then our take action project was to basically kind of share our experience with that and then kind of go to our troop and like do something similar to that, which was really cool. So like all the older girls, at least in high school, they were all like pretending to be like people who were like bullies, whatever, and cause issues, and it was very interesting to see. But yeah, I've done lots of journeys, even though I don't necessarily need to because they're cool to earn and why not? And it's something I get to do as another question I have is for the Gold Award, do you have to get permission from the place you went to work with before you present the idea to council? So I'm gonna say that probably depends on councils. I know they've changed a lot of stuff and it's very connected with GSUSA now. GSUSA changed a lot of stuff. I think right around the time I was changing my project anyway, which kind of worked out. But at least for me, I wasn't really working with anyone necessarily. So I didn't really have to worry about that. But if you are working with people, I mean, I would say probably yes to getting permission before talking to, getting counsel somewhat, or at least letting them know like you have an idea wanting to do this. Because like obviously you can't really go ahead with anything with your project until after you've gotten it approved. So yeah, at least I guess that kind of depends. I know my council, they're very strict about stuff about when you do and don't start things. And my guess is that's probably going to be the same for most councils, but I don't know much on that because I didn't really work with other like organizations since I did a lot of stuff online. And then when I did do my reading event, it was at like a local park. So all I really had to do was call them and then like reserve like a time slot, so it wasn't too difficult, and I'd already had my project approved by that point. So there any other questions before it's time to go? Okay, so thank you all so much for being here. I hope you guys had a good time. I did, and like talking about my experience with Scouts. And good luck at the ambassador level. It's very fun. I can't say it's really any different from seniors, but for at least for me it wasn't. But it was definitely fun the past few years and having fun with Scouts, especially since I was graduating. So yeah, bye guys.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.